And we're back. Stage 3, Challengers 1 here for the North American VCT continues, but a couple of different faces. My name, Tanner Metro, joined always by A Evil Cat and Mimi. And Mimi, we've had some fantastic games today. Before we get there, how are you?
I am doing good. You know, I had to go to an alternate place to make sure we could get this done, but we're here. We got what I think is going to be an awesome game queued up to close us out tonight. And you know what I think, kind of getting this last game of the night is super exciting is that someone's getting sent home. And well, KCP, obviously they were kind of an underdog to make it in here, but V1 down in the lower bracket, that's a surprise. I think for myself, and I think for a lot of other people. So this is going to be an interesting match, and the games today have delivered thus far. What, Gen G, they took a map off Sen. That's some crazy stuff has been going down.
Yeah, and that one's still going as we can take a peek at our bracket and kind of get an idea of where we've been and how we got to where we are. Like you said, Mimi, we've got the Iceland representatives in version 1 down here in the lowers. They went 2-0 or 0-2, I should say, against 100 Thieves. Envy in 2-0 fashion, taking down KCP. So 100 Thieves and Envy will play later. And then obviously you guys just caught it here, Xset and Rise, a pretty thrilling series. Obviously maps 2 and 3 kind of one-sided towards both of their respective wins. And then Sentinels Gen G still going on that mainstream. So mainstream, excuse me. So I encourage you guys to go check that one out. But as Mimi said, we've got version 1, we've got KCP, the Kansas City Pioneers. And I mean, if you go back and you watch that Envy KCP matchup, first and foremost for the Kansas City Pioneers, they haven't had the strongest runs really ever. They've been, you know, just on the grindstone, absolutely playing in everything that they can for so long and kind of being a squad since E United and then FPLC now coming in as KCP. And that 2-0 does that series absolutely zero justice. I think it was a 13-9, 13-11. It was kind of an upset for them to get here, but then to show up like that against Envy, I think they have a really strong chance. It's unfortunate that they are playing this version 1 squad, and we can take a peek at the roster that we've got for it, because if you guys have been living under a rock, we're a handful of games in. We're already up to Challengers 1, and if you don't know, Thief is going to be subbing in, but it's Effie's, Penny, Thief, Vanity, and Whippy, and I would imagine everybody happy to have Whippy back, but then they have to sub in Thief, and things get a whole lot shakier after that, Mimi.
Yeah, you gotta feel bad for Version 1 squad, right? They've never been able to play with their contingent 5-player roster. There's always something going on. They've lost out on Zelsus after he got suspended for some words exchange in Iceland, and I don't know. There was just so much going on here, but I feel like V1, they're a team with such a strong structure. It's Vanity's calling that I feel like is kind of the centerpiece of this squad, and no matter who that 5th player subbing in is, they're always getting something done. And while it is this lower bracket, I'd expect them to continue to be strong, but as we glance on over at that other side at KCP, I mean, you mentioned it, they were Team Serenity, then they were E United, then they were FPLC. Now they're signed for the 3rd time with a slightly new roster, bringing in Odorous, bringing in Scuba. So it's kind of some new faces, but like you mentioned, they've been making this miracle run happen, and who knows, they could pull something off. But we can take a peek at our head-to-head between some of the big players in this matchup. And I mean, well, there's so many fantastic players here, but we kind of can't ignore Penny and JMO. Penny especially, his performance at Iceland was insane.
Yeah, and it's just, it has to keep on moving forward, right? It starts right here in Challengers 1, where you can get that qualification, placing top 4 for Challengers Final. So you really have to keep the momentum moving forward. What I'm afraid of is that a team like this maybe gets down on themselves a little bit. They know how strong they can be, but then they lose to 100 Thieves, who they probably were not expecting to lose to. And no shots at 100 Thieves, but we all kind of know what run they've been able to put up. Now looking incredible here in stage 3, so it's going to be exciting to see how they maneuver through that winner's bracket. But yeah, it's that head-to-head is especially special between Penny and JMO. As we take a peek at where we are headed in terms of maps, it's going to be Split, Ascent, and Icebox. Bind and Breeze were banned away, and Haven was just untouched. So this first map in Split, it's version 1's map pick, and it's a map that I mean, I always bring this up, but they were down 11-1 at one point against Rise. They brought it all the way back to win 13-11. So this is a great place for the Iceland representatives to start.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this map pool couldn't get too much better for the camp of version 1. They get split. We know that, like, they took that off Liquid in Iceland. We're looking really amazing there. They've been having a good performance on it even now. They took that off of LG when they closed them out 2-0 in the qualifiers for Challengers 3 here. And then we go into Icebox, and well, they did just fall short there to 100 Thieves. I don't even know if we want to call that one, like, a loss. I mean, obviously they lost out, but that was like, what was it? It was like 17-19 or something ridiculous at the end. They're such a strong team. I love the Viper play they're bringing out here. Previously, it was Jammies doing it, but now it's like the new faces coming in. It's Whippy back on the table. He's playing into that Viper instead and looks just as good. I was super impressed with their Icebox play. But if we talk about KCP, on the other hand, Ascent's a good map for them. So I think they could definitely take that. I think there's a potential for them to at least take a map there, but I don't know. This is a rough pool, and if I had to predict here, I think the KCP can pull something off. I think they can get that Ascent map because it's a good one for them, but I have a feeling that this might just be swinging 2-0 in the way of version 1, but who knows? KCP, they have pulled some crazy stuff off thus far, Tanner, and I'm sure they're not looking to disappoint down this lower bracket.
And it looks like we're queued up here for our agent select on Split. We get to see what we, expect here on this one. Vanity rocking that Omen again. I actually really enjoy the back and forth, right? So the recent changes to just about every single agent, it's made it to where you're starting to get viability in agents that you played before, right? We're still seeing the Astra. We're seeing a lot of it on Bind, and we actually see it here for KCP. Scuba's going to be rocking that one. It's not always the Astra, so I love that those changes, they didn't just completely ruin specific agents, and teams are still finding ways, maybe to have their niche play style.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking across the board, the rest of this agent select, Odorous as that kind of controller in on the Viper. He's been playing that a lot of maps for KCP and has always been a pretty convincing Viper player for me. So outside of the kind of head-to-head between the duelists of like JMO and Penny that we were talking about, I feel like Odorous and Whippy, they match up pretty well in a similar right. And you talk that we don't see that much Astra, but I feel like with Scuba on the Astra, it's kind of his mainstay. Like ever since I first got to watch this guy playing for FPLC before they got picked up, it was almost always on that Astra. And I think when it's kind of the double controller setup, it gives him a lot of flexibility to lean more on those Gravwells, on those Nova Pulses, use it a little bit more as supportive utility in lieu as those Nebulas, those smokes, because Odorous, I mean, if he was just sole controller, I think he'd very much be able to muster. And then you add a Sky into the mix, you just have so much to deny line of sight and to create map control. I really like the comp that we're seeing out of KCP, and I do like that they're sticking with the double duelists, because when you have both JMO and Scourge, two of these incredibly strong fraggers on your squad, why not open them up? Why not let them get something done? Without further ado, Tanner, we're into map 1 here. It's an elimination match, or it's a chance to keep going. Here in the first Challengers main event, it's V1 on the attacking side of their map choice.
This is a great place to start for version 1. As I said, they were down 11-1 before battling back and winning the map 13-11 against Rise. That was back in stage 2. Now we get to see if they keep on riding the momentum forward. JMO, the first one here, our head-to-head for KCP, the leader of the squad. To find that first frag, and I know in the past, JMO, has been a little bit light on the ACS, so it's good to see him back. He was fragging while he's picking up that first one.
Yeah, down. This mid-fight will continue. That's Physic trying to chip away, and you see they're just kind of waiting for that Viper utility to renew, and this lets them regain the space initially lost. 4v1, it's looking like something, maybe a B finish here. No, it's still the scouting out towards A. Options aplenty, but they need to open up a frag, and you notice that KCP really not giving anything away for free here. Physic actually falling back, making this rotation in towards B, and that's off of the aggressive push. You see that, well, this defensive side, they're already up into spawn. Version 1's been read into.
100% red here. JMO leaving heaven, is going to dodge out on the paranoia, find another frag, looking for the next frenzy spray, going to go wide, but Scuba is there to back him up, and pushing through B main was Whippy. Unfortunately, not long for this world, as the pistol round seems to go the way and will go the way of KCP. So a great start to the version 1 map pick.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking pretty rough to start off there, Tanner, right? Like, they lose out on that opening frag towards middle for a moment there. Like, they're starting to be an opportunity for that space, but there's instantly that aggression out towards A main. They regain that information and they have a fully stacked B site ready for version 1's aggression. And I mean, version 1, they're not always a team that we're expecting to kind of go crazy in these pistol rounds, right? Like that's not always their strong suit. So it's not a big deal for either squad, but especially when you're the underdog, being able to kind of start off on your strong foot is fantastic. And now have a pretty respectable buy into this one. And well, that's just Odorous. Superior weapon, spray down 2-3 before he'll fall at the hands of Thief. But with the damage already dealt, this should be a round with KCP written all over it.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, good job, Odorous, to not only find 3 kills, but damage the remaining 2. So it just makes it so much easier. The threat of getting one-tapped once more by Thief goes all the way out the window. So a near flawless in the anti-eco, which is, quite honestly, the best you could hope for, because it's only Odorous who's going to be struggling going into this one in terms of economy. So at the end of the day, a 2-0 lead for KCP and a pretty healthy bonus round going into the next.
Honestly, good on them for getting the spike down. I think that was kind of best case scenario because Odorous sprays down 3 initially, but the spike was always in their possession. Thief manages to sneak by, get that down. You know, it is what it is. You get something there, a little bit of extra money invested. And I'm interested to see how is version 1 going to play this because they're a team that, I mean, their roots are kind of in CS when we talk about Vanity's in IGL. He loves just kind of playing the mid-round, starting things off slow, getting a good read onto his opponent before you really start to pick up that pace. And that's what we've seen thus far. Heavy emphasis on mid-control from V1, and they're going to be back to those old tricks. But look at your minimap there. There's again aggression out from A main, and Whippy, he could be in for a treat here.
Yeah, well, Whippy unfortunately going to fall there, and it's Scourge in for a treat. Not only finding a frag, but a weapon upgrade there, and it was probably on that Viper that weapon went to. Inside the dark cover, though, JMO finds 2 before being traded back. So overall, KCP still a player ahead, and Effie's worse for wear here is going to use that healing orb on himself. Vanity comes to back things up, make things even, but oh no, okay, Vanity's able to find another. So huge play there by the Omen, unfortunately lower on HP. It's not going to be too much here for Scourge. Clean things up. It was the Phantom picked up from that earlier exchange that is in the hands of the Rays. And with 50 seconds on the clock, Scourge hanging out towards B, that Spike has a lot of options.
Yeah, it really does here. Completely cutting noise for version 1, so they're trying to bait some aggression out of Scourge. He's going to start to feel that pressure, no information to work off of, and he's trying to hedge his bets in towards B main. But look, there's a 1v1 set up here. He kills Vanity, he opens this round up, he'll find the frag, and now he's the only healthy one in the server. Effie's has a heal up, and he has plenty of time to make this rotation. So the question now is, where will Effie's establish himself in this post plant? Because he has plenty of time to do so. Scourge, pressure's on him to keep this going.
Now, forgive me for not paying attention to this like I should have been, but Scourge has the paint shells online, and I'm not too sure if he used those at the beginning of the round, then found that first kill onto Whippy, and then that second kill on Vanity allows the paint shells to be back online. Well, I say that and Scourge just tossed them out anyways, and I say that's a huge tool to have. It looks like Scourge is using it to clear out every single angle possible. As that spike planted for Heaven. Scourge looking to take the fight in Heaven. It's 98 HP on FBs, and there it is, the clutch again. FB stays alive to net version 1 their first round.
Oh, version 1 had me nervous there when it came down to the 2 versus 1, because you saw that, well, them slowing down, that was denying information for the remaining van for KCP, but so too was it doing that against V1. Vanity was trying to reclaim some space here, likely looking for a B finish, but thankfully for V1, Spike was always on Effie's back, and in the 1 versus 1 with the Spike down, you're always going to favor that attacking side. So now for KCP, I mean, they lose that round. It comes down to the 1v1, but that was their bonus, Tanner, right? Like, they were never expecting to win this. They have great money here. They have JMO on the operator. He already has the Blade Storms up as kind of a second option, and Odorous popping that ultimate JMO or pop in the body of Vanity. This is a great start for KCP.
And this has kind of been the road to success for version 1 is through mid. Basically, for everybody here on Split when you're on the attacking side. So that Viper's Pit in round 4, which I was wondering if we would see it during the bonus. We don't see it there just because, you know, maybe you add the ultimates to your lackluster arsenal, but hanging on to it for this one, it means you secure this round, whereas if you lose this one, if you're KCP, your economy, it goes to crud, and V1 looked to find a round lead 3-2. Not going to be the case, though. Vanity first off the table due to the operator. Penny going to steal one back. Scourge to fall. Now, Physic just around the corner. Guiding light. Paint shells go through, and FB's able to find the frag either way as a wall goes up to stop a push through ropes. JMO going to be holding a tight angle again. We know just how strong he can be here. Shots through the wall. JMO chipped away at 34 health. Has to back away, and the A site slowly being opened up. There's a pinch, but it's a long shot. It's Odorous. It's JMO. They need to work together, and JMO might just be saving the op.
Thief. Oh, they're not looking back to back. But the adjustment in time, Odorous did get one in the meanwhile, but it's JMO alone. Operator still in hand. And with no tailwind, there's really no chance to make this clutch possible. Just the save up, so it's V1 to a second. But for KCP, that round's a bit of a heartbreaker because you get that opening frag out of JMO. He's able to get away without even taking a lick of damage. And then with that Viper's Pit mid, you kind of know that it has to be that commitment in towards A. But unfortunately for them, the aggression out of the side of, I believe that was Physic on the sky, just went completely awry. He gave away that second frag, opened up the space towards heaven, and that isolated the player on site. There was really nothing left for them in V1, just showing their expertise in finding those frags and isolating those duels, even when they are at a man deficit. 2-2 now, and this likely means that the economy not going to be sitting too pretty for the Pioneers.
And that's arguably the scariest player to take off the board for version 1, right? Because then Vanity, all Vanity has to do at that point is IGL, right? Is just lead the squad, get as much information as possible, moving through the spectates. So now we kind of find ourselves in that same situation where that round for either team was a very scary one, to say the least, in terms of economy. It's going to force everybody on KCP down to Sheriffs. The operator still alive as JMO was able to hang on to that one, but nobody forcing up around the hero op can be scary as JMO looked to go aggressive out towards mid, but a dark cover. Going to cover the ground, the concealment that version 1 need. Penny queues up a boombot, try and grab some extra information. Ooh, get something onto one as Odor is forced to back away. The decay damage is there. Now 47 health is all he heals up to. Vanity finds a nice lurk. Scourge right on top of him, though. They have absolutely no idea, and we get it again, where the players cross up on one another and finally find each other in the most awkward ways. Either way, Scourge taken down means version 1 up a player.
That's so awkward for Scourge, unfortunately falling. I mean, Vanity, I remember watching this in their Iceland games. He loves lurking up mid, and while JMO, he'll kind of have a bit of a lurk of his own. Get that re-aggression, cut down Thief, but Vanity still has this control crucially in towards Vents. This means that a late round A-split is always on the cards. That's where they're trying to commit, but Odorous is still holding up towards the ramp, and timing a factor here. If they spot out the play initially, then this really lowers the options, but V1 opening the doors right back up.
Yeah, and look at the toxic screen setup, right? It's not the normal toxic screen you see on the attacking side that blocks heaven. It actually blocks the A site to where you can move through those vents. So if anything happened towards B, if Vanity found some more, you can say, hey guys, just funnel this way. Let's go. B heaven is clear. Throw that wall up, everybody through ropes. It doesn't end up being that way, and the A side does get opened up, like you pointed out, Mimi. So just a really heads up play in terms of utility. And again, Vanity kind of being that pivot point for the squad wherever they need it. Now with the Sheriffs, 2 Sheriffs and an operator, it's looking like maybe another save here. At the very least for JMO, Scuba and Physic, they could go for it. They could send it, maybe go down to the spike. That way they have the credits for the next round as that spike continues to tick in version 1. Find themselves a lead.
Yeah, they're doing a good job at containment, though, because Scuba has one line, and they're going to back right into... What? The adjustment out of Penny, just so swift, will kind of deny that containment. They'll break their way out, hold 3 weapons into this next round. All things considered, it's not terrible for KCP. They're able to pick up 2 frags there with just the Sheriffs and the Hero Op, but obviously you're hoping to win those ones out. However, V1, the momentum is behind them, and, well, it's momentum, but it's very slow momentum. They love the mid-round, and that's what's so strong about their split play. Like I was talking about, there's almost always Vanity and Vents. There's almost always someone in a bit of an aggressive position. So V1 winning the information game. The reason that KCP won those early rounds is because they had the aggression out from A main. They were able to kind of push back, win that info war, but it feels like with a bit more passive play, V1 is really always the ones coming out on top in way of information. But JMO, he's finding some, getting an aggressive peek here in towards mid.
Another one, Alir. Gonna back him away. JMO still finds the shot. Tailwind to safety. Thief is able to steal one back out towards mid. Physic, unfortunately, falling inside that rope room. Opens up mid once more for the plays. Anybody can take or assume their position in that one. Either way, the operator's still alive. The weapon's still in hand on the side of KCP, and a 4v4 as that spike hovers around mid.
Good positioning here from V1, though. They have Whippy available towards A in the late round. Spike, though, committed towards middle. You see that aggression possibly coming out of KCP. They have two stuck in towards vents, actually conceding completely this mid control. So someone needs to make a move here, and Whippy trying to maybe sell something in towards A. Well, nothing sold. Instead, it's a commitment. Spike making this rotation. This call could go awry because there's still that double play out from KCP up on the ramps.
We have seen Version1, I believe, the last two times we saw this duel, they won it out. Paint shells this time, though, not going to be the rifle needed from Scourge. Looks for a bit of damage, doesn't get it, and the two players out towards ramp completely concede the site. And it's interesting. Obviously, it's hard to fight through that screen. You could just take some shots, but maybe you don't find something. Maybe you do. But it's the change up in the wall. This wall says, hey, we want to go right onto the site. We're not looking to fight for heaven. We're looking to give that one up and pass on by it. Now, with that, the site conceded. A Viper's Pit makes his 4v4 retake a lot less doable here for KCP as Damo goes wide on the shot through the 5-hole there of Penny. The paint shell's going to push him back in heaven. I think we might just see another save here, Mimi.
I wouldn't hate the call, although they're also going to start being desperate for round. Scuba, they can play forward here, trying to get something done, but that hit is always going to be so difficult.
Hit goes down. Scourge finds another Thief. Is there to trade it? The Empress is on. It's a 3K4. The Reyna make it 4 as the last one standing, Odorous, finds the operator. Will look to back away. The swing comes around the corner. The 1 HP Penny will go down. Thief survives, as does the operator. Version1 grabbed the round.
I really like the attempt at the retake there from the Pioneers. You saw that actually in towards A main. I don't know if we caught it on the cam, but at least on the minimap, you notice that the KCP was clearing main because they know that's where a lot of those Viper lineups come from. They know that this V1 team likes to play around those. When they had jammies, when they were in Iceland, that was such a huge part of their play. Get that spike down. You have jammies with his like numerous amounts of lineups, and it's similar for Whippy as well, but there was nothing to shut down. Everyone is committed to that pit play, and even though they got the frags, there was just never enough time. Well, there was Thief on the site. Another aggressive peek out from JMO, trying to find a shot here. And I mean, Tanner, he's been finding these entries, but it feels like the Pioneers are never able to capitalize.
Yeah, it has been that operator to find, whether it be a kill here out towards B main or out towards mid. The defense on the A site seems to be the weakest. It feels like wherever that operator isn't is where Version1 is trying to play. You don't have a whole lot of ways to push the operator off, so I like that idea as Physic. Gonna be first to contact here. Again, it's 4 sheriffs and an operator on the side of KCP. The name of the game this round is damage. Obviously, you'd love the win, but when the op shot goes wide, you don't have a whole lot going for you. Scuba looks to pick that one up. The guiding light gonna find the flash. Physic and Scuba actually able to find the kills as they push onto the side. FEs trades one back, in a 3v3 we go, but weapons now available to KCP, which means this round could really go either way.
There's always an alternate plan for V1. Whippy was never part of that initial play in towards B. They have him lurking up, but Effie's not checking the man up forward. It's awkward. Effie's does win it out. Crucially, if he falls there, it's another gun in the possession of KCP, and it opens up this retake, but there is still 2 weapons. There's a showstopper. This is doable.
And a Cosmic Divide, if you're afraid of, some of the angles that they might be lurking in for Version1. Just Cosmic Divided off as KCP, and look to push on yourselves. Whippy crouches out. The crab walk, able to find the kill onto Scuba. Now it's Scourge with all of the utility available with low HP, but unfortunately Vanity to his right means the frag goes the way of V1, as does the round.
That hurts for KCP because you get that awesome double entry off the guiding light towards spawn side, get 2 out B, but then they've always had Whippy there. Immediately they just take that pivot, run back through mid. It's again just the fantastic map control in the mid round from V1, pushing them out on top. And JMO, he saved that up for what, 4 rounds, and he found some entry frags, but like I mentioned, nothing ever capitalized. He has another go at it here. This time it is backed up by weaponry, so this is really the chance for KCP to shut down this momentum. But if they lose this one, I feel like you gotta take attack pause. You gotta slow this, because right now V1's just on a tear.
Yeah, and hopefully that tack pause made their ears ring, because we don't see enough of those pauses coming through. Sometimes we don't get any of them in these series that can be or are close series. And speaking of close calls, Physic tries to sneak away, not able to do so. Showstopper off the back end. Penny nets a second That's the operator, down another 4,700 credit investment. Falls by the wayside of Scuba, goes wide on the shots there. Penny for a third, FB's able to get it on the side, and Scourge gets one with the ult. Odorous now needs to get the remaining 3, make it 4 on the round, but can't do it. It's Vanity again to close things out as Version1 find their 6th.
I don't think we've really talked too much about it just yet, but I feel like Thief is slotting in really well with this V1 squad, right? Like, on LG, I feel like he had his shining moments, but there was never the results to kind of back it up. On this team, it doesn't feel like he has to be the star, right? That's what I've always liked about V1. Yeah, Penny has his pop-off moments. Yeah, all these players have their moments, but it's always been a team it's less about, like, Sentinels, where you think Sentinels, you think, like, tens. It's more like you think Version1, you think consistency. And I think that system they've built, that means that whoever they're slotting in is going to have a good time. And thus far, Thief, he has been having a great one. The Reyna looking very comfortable in his hands, as it is just another anti-eco here on the cards for V1. We could be looking at 7 rounds in a row.
And he takes quite a bit of damage, will be healed up. Still doesn't feel all that great, especially against those Sheriffs. Now it's a one-shot headshot on the Rays, and I believe Effie's as well. They find the shots, not enough HP to stay alive. As Vanity reloading will be able to escape only for a second at Scuba to close things out. The spike is down, the knives are on, and JMO could be the turning tides here on the round. And the grab well is Effie's, but he finds a frag, rips the jet out of the sky. Now Scuba, the last one standing in a 1v2, low HP, but the first target low as well. But it's FB's once more out on top. It's a 4K for the Sage and a 7th for Version1.
Oh, the retake comes just so close, down to just one man defending on the site. But you notice right at the end there, Whippy was always in the backlines, playing the lineups. He was kind of considering a lurk about halfway through that round, but he then just falls back, knows that there's been enough time bought, and just commits to playing the lineups. It's not like the main defense for V1. It's just an insurance plan, and I like that we're not seeing an over-reliance on it. Now, 7-2, no attack pause called, interestingly for me. I guess it's kind of a vote of confidence. You feel like you can still get something done. It's JMO with the operator, so maybe an opportunity, but first shot misses, and forced to fall back.
And so this time Vanity peeking that angle, he doesn't just stand in the entrance, the doorway, for lack of a better term. He just goes running through it, right? The last time it was just a clear shot on the body. This time Vanity stays alive and kind of works as a living piece of utility to back that operator off, at the very least. Grab the information as to where the operator is. The last round we saw it with the boom bot. This round we see Vanity looking to sacrifice his body for it. Either way, Version1 get all the information they need. So they rotate away from the operator. It's going to be JMO and the rest of the squad from the B site, looking to bring up the rear out towards A. But once more, a free site for Version1, an entry frag onto Scourge, and a very strong 5-player defense here in the post plant.
Planted.
There's still someone playing out towards mid. This time it's Vanity alone. Keep your eyes on him, because the late round lurk could go huge. Cosmic Divide committed. That sells that they're going for this retake. The Viper already clearing out towards main, and JMO trying to find a shot. It doesn't connect. Now timing becomes a factor.
And Odorous kind of cut off by this ultimate here, so trying to work together. JMO smart enough to know that Vanity might be lurking out towards mid. A couple of kills traded back and forth, but it's still Version1 on top, and if you blinked, you missed it. 3 players remain as Version1 grab an 8.
The hesitation was good there from the Pioneers. They were trying to clear out possibly one man in towards main. They've done this on all their A-site retakes, where they push normally Odorous up towards main to try and take care of what would be Whippy, and they were ready for Vanity's lurk. The thing is that the lurk dying there isn't super important, because Vanity did his job. He bought time. The spike was already halfway ticked. They had to make kind of a desperation play in towards the site, and they were just gunned down in what was a 4 versus 4 on the site. KCP not catching a break here. It's 8 on the trot with just the Sheriffs. Hopes aren't high.
Ooh, and shots wide. Gonna give up the position, but Odorous still manages to find 2 before falling. So a favorable trade. A couple more favorable trades, and oh my! All 4 alive here, as Odorous the only one to die in a thrifty round for KCP, Mimi.
Wow, that is huge. I mean, I just said the hopes aren't high, but I guess the hopes are booming after that one. That's something to kind of get you rushing, to get you going again. Odorous, huge double kill there off of the grab well. And I mean, there hasn't been that much impact out of the Aster play just yet, but Scuba's grab well there, massive.
Yeah.
really set the round in the right direction, found that double kill on the entry, and it was the story of utility. Next up, it was Physic with a fantastic guiding light to garner another double for the Pioneers. They have money up again, so now it's a question of consistency, because the best they could hope for here is what? 4-8 half? That's still not stellar for your defense.
Yeah, it's not great, but at the very least, if you snag this next round, that means you did some damage control for the last two, which bodes well. Gives you a bit of confidence going into the next as JMO finds that entry frag once more. Unfortunately for KCP, it doesn't feel like you could, you're not necessarily buying into KCP stocks this round because of that, because we've already seen 2 or 3 times where those frags come through and they don't amount to a whole lot as Version1 still find a way to sneak out the round. This time, though, it's on Thief. We'll take a peek at the ultimates online. It's the Resurrection and the Showstopper for Version1. If they get into a good position, there's the Resurrection. Thief back online, so the pick doesn't mean a whole lot now, especially because the Empress is available, Mimi.
All right, rotations underway here. V1 maybe trying to edge something out towards the B site. And this time there's no lurk. There's no insurance plan. This is practically a full commitment, just leaving Whippy a little bit back to hold up on the flank with 30 seconds left. This has to be the final decision. And you can see the stars are up, back and by so much time for KCP.
Oh, and it slows Penny down with a Showstopper, allows a position change. Scuba picks up 2. Effie's there, traded back. Whippy taken off the table as Thief grabs 1. Ticking down is the clock. The spike needs to get planted, but it's JMO to close things out. KCP, they battle back 2 rounds in a row for an 8-4 half.
All right, well, that's a better look out of the Pioneers. There's something. They go into this half with a bit of momentum at their feet, and finally, they found a way to punish the slower pace that V1 has been showing. Oh my god, this is the replay early on of the little Goomba stomp there, but kind of refocusing on the game overall, I feel like they never had a solution for the slow play out of V1, because V1, they always had alert. They always had someone to kind of keep the rotations occupied and not allow the full committal in towards one site. And in that last round, we finally saw it. We finally saw them kind of clearing that space towards mid, being able to fully commit that this has to be a B play, and it was a much better look, but I'm worried it's too little too late, because it's a defensive-sided map. We know how strong V1 is on this defensive side, and it's 8-4. That's not stellar. This wall forward for Effies will find actually a ton of space, especially when combined with the dark cover, but for the Pioneers, again, kind of keeping with the slow pace here, just a default look starting forward. Physic actually with a blind up for the ramps.
Yeah, not bad. That's a nice little flash there. Unfortunately, that wall kind of stunts things as Vanity calls for that one. Whippy puts it up in the toxic screen, and I'm not too sure if that blind landed. Either way, Vanity was able to sneak away with his life, and now playing incredibly safe as they don't give up anything. It's still 3 players over towards, oh my goodness, Penny, Whippy, everybody coming alive here. Thief, the only one who doesn't have his hand in the cookie jar just yet as Physic looks to push up. Guiding light, nice little pop flash there. Not going to get spotted just yet and finds the first frag. Scourge, meanwhile, on the flank, but unfortunately the round will swing the way of Version1. They did everything they could for the diversion, Mimi, but V1 didn't buy it.
Yeah, V1 did not fight on it whatsoever. And just look at the utility combination. That's what V1 is good at. You saw Whippy, he was playing that kind of jump peek jiggle, and he launched out the snake bite initially. That gives that vulnerable debuff, doubles the damage, and when that was combined with the paint shells, it was just way too much to muster. 2 frags without a single shot being fired. And for KCP, when you're playing against a team like V1, you have to slow down. You have to respect him a little bit, because when you go quickly, that's exactly what happens. The utility outdoes you, and now it's only the pistols. We could be looking at double digits.
Not a singular upgrade here on the side of KCP, and I would imagine the utility they have in this round, if anything, brought over from the last. Odorous able to pick one up. Deep gets a couple back, didn't grab a whole lot in the last round. Now looking to get his hand in the jar. 2 kills, looking for some more. He hops around the corner, finds a third, and the low HP on JMO. The 360, the right clicks. Unfortunately, the karma comes on through. Thief gets punished for the content play. Either way, Version1 secure 10.
I love this look from V1 because they're clearly just having fun with it. going for the 360 right clicks, going for the content plays, like you say. They're not taking this too seriously. And well, I mean, obviously they're taking it seriously, but they're letting that kind of looser, that more fun style come into play here. And I think that's what's strong about V1's defense. If we kind of sum up their attack in one thing, it's the coordination, it's the mid-rounding, and they kind of do the same on their defensive side. They push and pull a little bit. They're not afraid to refight for space in the late round, and it gives this team just kind of a look that's hard to play against, because when there's not some perfect structure to it, it makes it very hard to read. KCP, I mean, they don't have much time to break the code. Only 3 rounds away here from dropping the map. Pressure's on. They have guns this time.
Yeah, it stings to have to completely save going into that second round, but it's the smart call, right? 10-4, you'll be able to fully buy up coming into the next on the bonus round of version 1. This is a round, if you are KCP, you need to grab this one. You need to sneak this one away anyway, anyhow. Or else things are looking pretty dire in terms of economy for not only round 11-4, but 12-4 as well. Might be the next full buy if they don't force up in the next. So 45 seconds on the clock. The spike a burn out towards A. And again, version 1, they just hold steady. They don't give up a whole lot, right? They're not buying into any of the fakes. And I think it's because they play that play style. They understand exactly how to read a team like that, as it's still 2 on each site.
30 seconds.
You got Penny just hanging out in the back, respectively. Quick on the rotate if they need it. J-Mo going to be first to contact out towards A. Effie's is here. Paint shells going to be tossed out. Tailwind. Go backwards, but takes a bit of damage. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad out towards B. It's going to be looking like a retake here for version 1 as Thief drops down, not able to find the sheriff shots. The bonus slowly slipping away for version 1 as they're cut down to their final 3. And it's all 5 alive for KCP.
Seems like their style getting used against them. Just a bit of a bait there in towards A heaven, and V1 bites. They keep multiple players committed. It leaves fairly open B side. Effie's does clear out the lurk of J-Mo, so opens up an opportunity for a pinch here. Doesn't look like they're going for the retake, likely leaning more towards eco damage, because when you're up this far, when you're 6 rounds ahead, keeping your opponent's economy so accountable can set you forward to a quick win. Penny, see what he can get done here, because the full exit seems to be towards spawn.
Oh, the guiding light can grab the info. Blast pack, and Scuba finds the frag. Yeah, Mimi, you're talking about it. If everybody died there, whether it be to a spike or to a player, basically whoever dies here, with 4 still alive, J-Mo's going to be A-okay. Somebody on the team should be able to purchase for the jet. But if just about everybody dies, your economy is not great, even in winning that round. So it's fortunate to keep 4 up. They should have all 5 guns coming into this next one. Version 1 going to be in that same boat. We'll see if those Spectres get upgraded. It's obviously some credits that you can look to hang on to, and Vanity does seem to be doing just that. Just utility purchased up as well as the armor. And standing across, it's going to be the full rifles of KCP to try and find another round. Now, Mimi, they wasted a lot of time on the clock. It was 45 seconds before that spike rotated back over towards B, and that is a very dangerous playstyle that we have seen all too often go the wrong way.
I think if T1, a team that gets very committed to that slow playstyle, and sometimes the clock just works against them. V1, they know how to play that clock. They know how to shut down an opponent that's playing slow. So KCP have to keep themselves on their toes, and Scourge knocked down onto his toes, a headshot to open things up, and there's not much space gained off that. V1, they still have full control. They still have all the information they could want, so it's practically a freebie. Worst case scenario here for the Pioneers is now they're fishing for other options, maybe in towards mid, as that Sage Wall has broken.
And Spike's still hanging out towards A. And this doesn't leave you a whole lot of options. We got both Viper screens as well. Defensive one going to go up there. Whippy called out to place that one up. So immediate damage taken as they push through. And it's still Whippy and Penny holding it down. This is the same positions that we saw Odorous and Scourge holding on their defensive end. We'll see if they give up just as much space. KCP slowly starts to creep on. The wall goes up. The crouch spray not going to land for really anything there. So KCP should be able to find the site for free as Odorous waiting in the wings on the lurk, making sure nobody pushes the wall there. Gonna make sure, you know, Vanity at the very least isn't coming from ropes or sewers as well. We always know a player on the lurk. It's Penny to go on the aggressive, trying to take the fight right to Odorous. The first frag swings the way of the Viper. Now looking for more. Viper v Viper. Odorous on top, looking for more. Finds a third. Odorous single-handedly securing this round for KCP as Physic and JMO gonna scoop up the last couple of kills. KCP will find their sixth.
It's very smart play out of Odorous. He knows that V1 is purposefully giving up this space. They're just trying to hold on towards that heaven control and work the retake from there. But by kind of establishing himself in main, V1 has to clear him. They know there's a possibility of lineups. They know there's a possibility of a late round flank as that retake is underway. So they have to commit to fighting him out. Even after that first player dies, they have to keep going. And well, unfortunately for V1, Odorous just a little bit better at holding down that space. This will reset V1 onto a weird buy here. They do have that hero rifle onto Penny, the Judge onto Vanity. I mean, even post-nerf, we know how much that Judge can do. So I'll have to see how much V1 can get done here, but the Pioneers really starting to build an impressive bit of momentum behind him.
And it starts to get scary for Version 1. Their attacking side was the side in that comeback. Their attacking side typically the stronger side. And we heard from an interview just the other day with Vanity where a lot of the stuff that they pull out is kind of on the fly. They have their set plays, but a lot of the time they are looking to just adjust in the moment and trying to adapt to their opposition. And KCP doing a good job making it a hard job for Version 1 to adapt as Effys looks to play close angle, looking straight up, maybe catching the toesies once more. This time it's going to be JMO, not Scourge, caught out. Did he drop down into the vents? And it's information and space gathered by JMO, but it's not really the same as what Vanity was doing earlier, right? Because Effys is in that position and somebody is... Oh, okay, well, Effys is gone now, so that is basically what Vanity was doing earlier. Now Vanity to be up top trying to rain down the damage, only able to find one as Physics swings onto the site, picks up two, clears things out, and the spike surely be planted as Penny with that hero rifle. Ain't shells to try and push Physic away. The spike should be planted, but at what cost? Physic sneaks away. Odorous will fall. Thief will find the frag. 23 health on the sky as Odorous once more tries to rain down from the high ground, and it's Physic for 3. It's Odorous for 1, and it's KCP to 7.
Great round there out of KCP. Well, it's just a hero rifle to get things started, so not a huge deal that Version 1 is losing out onto that. At least they do get some damage in, but I kind of want to bring up a different note here in that I'm not sure how long V1 has been practicing with this specific roster, right? Because they only recently got the news that Celsius wouldn't be able to play officially, and then they do pick up pretty much 2 new players. Obviously, they played with Whippy before, but it was a good month where they were playing without him, so it's a new look. And I think that we might see some cracks showing as a result of that kind of newer roster for this squad. Whereas KCP, they've been grinding the lower level tournaments. They've been doing well in them, and well, now this is a quick look in towards a V1. Initially, though, gunning down to Thief, still holding on to the high ground, disrespectful of the Viper utility. Heaven control, still something that the Pioneers are looking for here, and Penny getting gunned down by Physic opens that opportunity up.
The 2 kills early in the round from Version 1 traded back. Steve finds one through the box. Vanity able to find the next, but we find ourselves in a 1v1 situation. Physic finding 3 on the round. Now only needs to pick up a frag onto Effys, who's 2 away from the resurrection, so quite far. Won't have it here in this round. So we're looking at the 1v1 with a guiding light available, the Trailblazer as well. Lots of utility here for Physic, and unfortunately Effys just doesn't have the same. The drop down herd to rotate out towards Heaven. Physic looking to plant in a safe position. Now where does he go from here? Looks like elbow control, the name of the game, and Effys, there's no better player to have in a situation like this. Spotted out, guiding light, gonna find the flash. Effys backs away, maybe gives up a bit too much. The Vandal shots go wide. It's gonna take a double dink from the Sage from this distance to close things out on the round as Effys drops sodas. Physic, there it is, the headshot through the box. It's just enough for Version 1 to find their 11.
Wow, the adjustment there, so crisp from Effys to close things out, and it almost feels like Physic accidentally outsmarted himself because he makes that drop, makes the kind of rope noise heard, and then sneaks his way back up, but Effys was out of range. He never heard that. He was never aware. He was just chilling out, waiting for the A play to come through, and Effys coming out on top in the duel as well. It's 11 for V1, and it is close as could be, so the money not looking perfect for them, as it is just that judge up for Vanity, but again, it's a situation where they are such a commanding. Who really cares? They're fine trading rounds back and forth. They only need 2 to finish this one off.
This is the best position to be in if that is going to be the case. The trading of the rounds back and forth. It only takes 2 more trades here for version 1 to close things out. And like you pointed out, Vanity with the judge again, this time mixing up the position played. It's out towards A main, holding that close angle. Where's KCP looking to take the fight out towards mid? They've been leaning pretty heavy on A at the start of these rounds. We'll see if that's going to be the case here. Boombot gets taken down. Some information that somebody's out towards mid. Is 3 players stacked up for version 1. JMO gained a lot of ground here out towards mid. So this is that position, the Vanity position out towards mid. Kind of rally the troops and call it up from wherever. Zephy's and Vanity is still stuck on the A site, whereas all 5 for KCP looking to hit B.
Heavy look here from V1 though. 3 players ready on the B site, 2 postured towards heaven. It'll be Penny to take contact, find the information. The guiding light might just give it away. And now the stack can really come to fruition. Thief ready for the first spam shots, missing, but it's Whippy to come alive. Showstopper misses, but it buys his space, buys it time. Scourge gets 1, but Whippy just still dealing damage. Out from hell, it's no problem. Just look at the time, 20 seconds. They need to find the site with V1 fully on board. The drop down works against Physic. It's Penny to pick it up, and it's a backstab to close it out. V1 fine match point off of just a great read, a great stack in towards B. They were always ready for that play.
Yeah, and again, kind of the problem with running the clock out like that is you have to then look to hit that site, right? As soon as JMO's coming out of mid, going up into B heaven, that is very clearly their final destination. That is their direction. You start placing the stars down, and well, at that point, you've got 0 utility bought out from version 1. It was only the Boombot use, so Penny was able to buy a whole lot of space with the paint shells alone. Odorous was forced to push out of heaven, split from the team. Whippy finds that kill. Whippy flips around, finds the 2 players coming out of B main, and obviously you have to give a whole lot of credit to Whippy for finding those kills. But again, it's the 6th player for version 1 in that clock just because it forces the hand of KCP. And like you said, Mimi, they read it perfectly. Now they are looking to do something a bit different here. A little bit lower on Arsenal. They've got 4 rifles and a Stinger. They're trying to stay alive. There's the Stinger down. As the Viper's Pit used, Penny's able to find a second. Physic trades it back, gets sat down almost immediately. It's a 2v3 situation. Scuba lower on HP due to the decay. Will heal back up, but not completely topped off. A 3v2. The spike down in an awkward spot as Cosmic Divide used. The stars go down. And JMO looking to shut down the retake. Now in a 1v2. Make it a 1v1. It's Effys. It's Scuba. It's a different look, but it's still Effys. Is this going to be enough? Who better in a situation like this as Scuba looks to hang on to KCP's life? But it's Effys to close it out again. Map 1 to version 1. We're going to jump away for a short break. We'll catch you guys in just a sec. looking to get right back into it. 13-7 on map 1 for version 1 over KCP. But before we get there, guys, we want to give a huge shout out to a presenting partner here and helping us power the VC team. That is Zowie and their BenQ monitors. And obviously, by this point, you guys already know, but Zowie and BenQ, they've got the exclusive technology like dynamic accuracy, color vibrance. The Zowie monitors will help you track your enemies, control your weapon spray, and secure the site for your team. If you guys have any questions, you can head on over to zowie.benq.com. And if you guys want to know what dynamic accuracy is, you can type in what is Diac. Now, Mimi, I mean, these players and with Diac, it seemed like version 1 maybe didn't have their Diac on for a little bit, but then they turned it back on. They showed a little bit of life, or gave some life over to KCP, and we saw some really sick rounds like this one here for Odorous, and it all came down what felt like the Effies and the clutch factor.
Yeah, Effie's in the clutch. Name a better duo, I suppose, because every time that V1 was starting to lose out on momentum, there was an Effie's clutch. Brings him right back into things. He was just always so strong to pull those Red Bull clutches out of nowhere. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about that first half for KCP, because there were some good looks, right? Like JMO with his off, almost always finding those entries. Yeah. It's just V1's mid-rounding is so strong, and that's what I felt the difference was between these teams, because they play a similar style of attack. Double controller, you had that Viper for conditioning, and you played that slow mid-round, but V1 had always felt like they had a fallback, right? Like they always had that secondary option. They always had the lurk from Whippy or from Vanity in the backlines to give them that plan B. And that was never really there for KCP. It felt like when they made a decision, it was full commitment. It was all the way in, and V1 plays so well against teams like that. We saw like first little pistol round there. The combination of the Viper utility, Chelsea to get 2. Like V1 was just looking when KCP took things quick, and KCP overcommitted to a site, and that was a consistent force for KCP. Yeah, they pooled some rounds together, but it were enough to make a convincing comeback.
And it kind of goes back to a point that you stated where we might not always get the, hey, we're going to hit B site, super flashy, super frag out content plays like we've seen with some other teams with version 1. But what makes them the best is that they're a cerebral team. It seems like they're sitting in Cerebro from X-Men, just the way that they're able to read the map. It's like they've got the pulses, the echolocation. It's the Rek'Sai passive where they can see the footsteps. As we take a peek at the stats here, it's Effies and JMO up top, but obviously we got to give some love in that head-to-head. Penny and JMO both really showing up. It does sting a little bit that there wasn't more of that follow-up that you talked about in JMO finding these opening frags. It always felt like, again, version 1 just had them read. And then when it came down to, I think it would have been cool to also get a Penny Scourge head-to-head for this map specifically, because I think if you look at their performances, Penny killed Scourge every single time. I feel like maybe escaping just one, but a lot of it was at attacking side, that fight up towards a ramp, and KCP were having such a hard time holding that one down as a whole, and that's where we saw version 1 play for the majority of their attacking side. So it's tough. That's their map pick. It's a map that they're very strong on. We're headed to Ascent a little bit later, and maybe Icebox if we get there, so we can take a peek at our maps to see, well, I guess I kind of just spoiled it, huh? I kind of gave it away there, Mimi.
Yeah, but like you said, that initial map was Voice of V1, so not a huge surprise that they managed to pick that one up in 13-7 fashion. Ascent is a big question mark for me, because let me pull this up again, but I think with their new roster, kind of post-Iceland, they've only played this map once. Yeah, it looks like they played it up against, who was it again? It was up over LG. They did take the, or excuse me, it was up over YFP. So they haven't even played like a top tier 1 kind of competition. That's not to sleep on YFP, because they just won that one of those Nerd Street weeklies, but they haven't really played it that much against bigger teams. Back with their old rosters at Iceland, it wasn't the best map for them, but they always got it close, right? Like I remember up against the Koreans, they got this map really close before that kind of fell away from them. Like Ascent isn't a bad one, and I think because it's another, I like that you use the word cerebral there. It's a map where you can just kind of vibe out, play that mid-round, play the map control. That's V1 in an essence. I think that Ascent is, some people call it like the most transparent map, right? Like there's no gimmicks to hide behind. It's just like a very simple, very basic map where map control is everything. And those maps lean heavily towards V1. But what it also is that it's a map where you can get aggressive, especially on your defensive side, where ops go big. And that's kind of KCP, right? Like Like, they love fighting map control on their defense. They love using JMO to find those entries on the op. So it kind of bodes well for both teams. I feel like it's going to be close, but I don't know. It could go either way. But KCP, they really kind of got to get some fire in their stuff. We saw that in their earlier series, right? Like, they took that tack, talked a little bit with Fraud, and then kind of brought it back.
Yeah, and so the transparent map, in a sense, the honest map is what I've heard it called as well. It's also a map that KCP just played against Envy. They took it, or they lost 11-13. So as deep as you can go without going overtime against Envy, who is an incredibly strong team, especially in that play style as well. But I don't know. We'll have to see. It's one map down for KCP as Version1 have the lead. We are headed to Ascent, but we got to get the players ready and in the lobby. It's going to be just on the other side of this short break.